Hello everyone, and welcome to the Miss Pink Digital Podcast, home to everything digital marketing, brand building, and tech. And today's episode is all about 2025. As we roll into the new year, or already in the new year, depending on when I post this, with the new year comes new learnings, new strategies, new ideas, all of the good stuff and some of the bad stuff. So I'm going to be talking about things that I think are going to be very important from a digital marketing point of view in 2025, covering all areas of digital marketing, your catch-all podcast episode to really get things going this new year. So just to jump into it, we're going to jump into the paid advertising side. We're going to start off with my bread and butter, the side we all know and love, specifically touching on paid social. Now, when it comes to paid social or PPC, so pay-per-click, any of that, there is a big technical element. The reason why there's a lot of technical elements to it is there's a lot of data involved, a lot of data analytics involved, a lot of reviewing the data and looking at areas we can leverage within the data to optimize our campaigns and improve performance. And it's not manual by any means, but there is that manual aspect of reviewing the data and making optimization changes based on the data. However, what we have seen in the digital marketing space is the shift towards these more AI orientated campaign types. So not just automated bidding, so your conversion focused bidding strategies that kind of optimize accordingly for you from a bidding perspective, but full on AI focused campaigns. We've seen this within Google Ads with Performance Max campaigns. We've seen this within Facebook ads or Meta ads with Advantage Plus shopping campaigns or ASC campaigns. And the point of those campaigns is to shift the reliance more on the platforms, AI and machine learning to do the work for you. And obviously it goes without saying, we've all seen it within the paid advertising space. These platforms love to push these campaign types more and more as they become more advanced, as they become more mainstream, I guess, and as they become more prevalent within the platforms themselves. You can't ever get a recommendation from Meta or Google without Advantage Plus shopping or Performance Max coming into the mix somehow. Unfortunately, what that does mean for us learning the more technical side or having knowledge in the more technical side is our technical expertise is less leaned upon or sought after than it was previously. Now, do not get it twisted. It is still incredibly important. And especially as you get people leaning more on the platform to do all the work, it's actually incredibly important to have that technical oversight to make sure that you're not wasting money, but people who are new to ads, they don't think of it like that. However, because the platforms are trying to do the work for us, there's less reliance on us with a technical oversight essentially, and those technical optimizations that we're so used to doing. So one thing that I think is going to be incredibly important to learn and improve upon skill set wise in 2025 is creative strategy and creative planning, specifically within the paid advertising space. So really looking at how to amplify creative strategy, how different types of creative should be assigned to different stages in the funnel, how to optimize and improve on creative from a creativity point of view, not just from a bidding strategy point of view, not just from a budget allocation point of view, but from an actual creative point of view, and how to really improve that creative strategy alongside our technical knowledge. And whilst we're talking about technical knowledge and technical insight, attribution modeling, this is one I repeat year on year because unfortunately it doesn't get easier. With each year it gets harder, and the importance of understanding attribution modeling becomes more and more prevalent. So those of you who don't know what attribution modeling is basically how you assign credit to conversion. So conversion could be anything from a purchase to a lead, someone who signed up after submitting a lead form, anything that's like beneficial on your website and is essentially your primary goal of your website. Attribution or attributing that data is assigning credit to the source that led, or the sources that led to that conversion, whether that's paid advertising campaigns, whether that's SEO, whether that's organic social, all of these different sources, if they played a role into that conversion, they each get a piece of credit assigned to them based on the impact they had towards that conversion. If it sounds complicated, it's because it is. It's no one fully has got the art/science of attribution modeling to 100% yet. I'm pretty sure it's never going to be 100% accurate, but trying to get it as accurate as we can is going to be key, especially in 2025 as tracking and the ability to track users becomes more and more difficult. I think we're going to have more and more restrictions in place when it comes to privacy and tracking. And that's why attribution modeling is going to be key. If you can't learn it, at least understand it and appreciate it for what it is. Without having a grasp on attribution modeling or the importance of attribution or understanding attribution, you're going to risk really restricting your marketing activity, specifically if you're looking to scale. If you're looking to scale, it's going to be so important to have a decent source of truth within your business next year, whether that's a case of looking at the different conversion sources for all of your conversion data and then cross-referencing that with something like Google Analytics 4, whether you're going to be using a third-party attribution platform like Phosphor, for instance. It's up to you, but find something that works for you and your business in 2025. The next thing I think is going to be vital in 2025 is being thankful to your customers. And I mean this genuinely, not just posting on social media every once in a while, thanking them. At the end of the year, a lot of brands do that where they say thanks to all our lovely customers this year. And it's like, oh, the sentiment's nice, but do you actually mean it? No, actually finding a way to incorporate customers more within your business next year. So 2024 and 2023, towards the latter end especially, we saw the growth of the importance in personal branding, specifically from business owners and members in senior leadership roles within a business. And I think that's going to continue being important, as well as employee personal brands. Obviously, don't force your employees to have a personal brand if they don't want one, but basically bridging the gap between consumer and businesses is going to continue to be an important thing to incorporate into your strategy. So continue on those personal branding pieces, and where you can leverage an employee's personal brand if they would like to have one. Genuinely thanking customers and putting budget into appreciating your customers more, not just for improving things like your website's experience, which is obviously going to be important, but things like gifting your customers and utilizing what would have been part of your influencer outreach budget, influencer gifting budget, to actually giving that back to your customers. I've mentioned this before I think it was on TikTok. I don't think it was in a podcast episode, but one of the reasons why influencers are losing their influence is because of their lack of relatability. Influencers used to be relatively relatable to the everyday consumer, and with the cost of living, they just aren't anymore. And people are kind of getting more fed up with them, especially when it comes to brands gifting them stuff when they're already earning a lot of money. They don't really need these gifts and they're getting them all the time. And some influencers have kind of abused that power and promoted poor quality products or even scam products. And people are kind of over that, especially when there's people struggling to even afford to buy food or pay bills. And I think next year more than ever, brands need to start looking at that budget. Obviously still utilize influencers, still leverage influencers, of course. I would say it's more about quality rather than quantity and relevance of that influencer to the space you're in, rather than just an influencer with a big following. But use some of that budget that you would have used for influencer marketing and put it back into your customers. Send them on, send them a gifting PR package. So it feels weird calling it a PR package, but send them a gifting package. I saw an influencer turned business owner send some of her customers on a holiday and things like that. And I think that's going to be a really special way for brands to really give back to their customers. And further bridge that gap between consumer and brand in 2025, which I think is going to be so important to continue to do, especially as consumers start to or continue to be more reluctant with their purchases. They're going to have to gain more trust with their purchases. Allow them to buy into your brand more rather than just your product. Whilst we're on the topic of trust building, while we're talking about trust building, and I've already mentioned it just a few seconds ago, user experience, conversion rate optimization, general website experience. As always, it's going to be incredibly important. It's the same story every year, but I've seen more and more user experience have a bigger impact on your SEO and how search engines choose to rank your website than more traditional SEO strategies that we're used to seeing. So obviously we know the more traditional SEO strategy is things like having blog content, and within the blog content or page content, incorporating the keywords you want to rank for. This is still relatively relevant. It's not as important as it used to be, because the reason why it's not as important as it used to be is user experience is more important. Doesn't matter if you have blog content with the keywords you want to rank for within it or amongst it. It's not going to make a difference if your website experience is absolutely crap. Focus on your user experience next year on your website. It's going to be key, not just from like a conversion rate perspective, but also from a organic ranking perspective too. Leveraging more organic channels to continue to connect with your customer base and your audience is going to be a key skill and practice to really have a grip on in 2025. So email marketing has been having a really huge comeback. Well, it never really left, but advertisers and people in the digital marketing space talking about leaning on email marketing has really, really grown this year. And I think it's only going to get more important next year, especially as advertising platforms become more and more expensive. We've seen massive success from the likes of Odd Muse, the clothing brand online, through really great email marketing campaigns where it has made up a considerable amount of revenue for the brands. So when utilized and concentrated on correctly, it can be a really huge game changer for a brand. And I'm not just talking about email marketing as such. I'm talking about any way you can talk directly with your customers online. So whether that is email marketing, whether it's some form of online forum, private group, online group, it's going to be key, especially when it comes to incorporating and encouraging consumer feedback and using that feedback to improve your product. I think when it comes to consumer feedback, it can be quite disconnected in you just send them a feedback survey and get them to fill it out, which of course still continue to do, but in-person feedback as well, where you can incorporate in-person feedback and in-person case studies and in-person user studies. Definitely do that in 2025, and then incorporate that within your marketing strategy, create content around it, create advertising around it to show not just your core customer base, but show potential new customers how serious you are about creating a really great product and how important your customers actually are to you and your business. Last but certainly not least, remaster the use of long form content. Now, if you follow any social media gurus online, you've probably already seen them talk about the rise in long form content or the comeback of long form content. Now, I do still think short form content is going to be a key player next year. I think it's not going away for a while. Our attention spans are too heavily impacted for it to just suddenly go away. But I do think long form content is making a comeback. And I do think users are opting for those quality long form videos, especially when it comes to seeking out information. So definitely start looking at where in your social media strategy, your paid ad strategy, your website content strategy, where you can incorporate those long form pieces of content to run alongside the short form content as well. But yes, those are the key things I think is going to be incredibly important to take into 2025 to really amplify and optimize your digital marketing strategy. I hope this podcast episode was helpful. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to talking to you more this year and hope it's your best year yet. Thank you for listening.